Do you ever get the feeling that there's no light at the end of the tunnel? That no matter how much you let go of, there's no end to the fear. There's no end to the negativity. That there's no end to the mind chatter. And no matter how much you let go, sure, you may feel a little bit lighter, but going all the way, letting it all go, that's just not possible. Today, I want to talk about that and also talk about how showing up at a 9-day retreat can put you in a position where you see things from a completely different perspective. You could see your freedom. You could see the opportunity to go all the way, and you know you can do it. You know who you are. That's what we're going to take a look at today. Coming up. When I first started this work, I was super excited because finally I had this tool to let go of the negativity in my life. I didn't have to fight with my fear anymore. I didn't have to suppress the anger, that I could actually let it go. And by letting it go, I started to uncover something great inside of me, an unlimited source of joy, love, abundance. And as I let this go, my life was getting better and better. But this excitement and enthusiasm over this new skill started to turn into something else over time. I started to get a sense of, maybe I made a mistake here. It's like I've opened up Pandora's box and I'm letting go of fear, but there's like deeper fear that's now coming up. And I just don't want to deal with that anymore. I just wish I can close it all up and pretend that it wasn't there. And it's kind of like that movie, The Matrix, where the guy says, gee, I wish I would have taken the blue pill. I mean, that's how I felt. But in my experience, deep inside of me, I knew that there was no going back. That I was really uncovering the lies I was telling myself before in my life about all my limitations and problems. Those were just lies. And to go back to that would just be going back and living a lie. I couldn't do that. There's only one way to go. That's to go forward. So I want to share this experience with you here and really give you a big picture of what it is that we're doing here. You know, not just in this technique, but just all of us in life, what we're all experiencing. And what we're all experiencing in life, you could say we're all suffering from emotion sickness. That's our big problem, is feelings. All these negative feelings. They pull us down. They get us to feel negative. We don't even want to get out of bed sometimes. They get us to make, stupid decisions, reactive decisions. And these feelings, they aren't even real. And where do these feelings come from? How do we get them? And so I want to lay it out here. Now, there's 4 ways that we handle our feelings. Now, the first way that we handle our feelings also points to how we collected them, how we ended up in this place where we have this fear and other negativity running in our life. And that is, we suppress our feelings. And this is what we've been doing our whole life, ever since we were a little kid. Like, our parents told us to do our homework when we wanted to go outside and play. And then, we threw a temper tantrum. What we did was we pushed our feelings down. And every time things that happened in our life that we didn't like, that made us feel sad, that made us feel crappy and angry, we suppressed them. And every time that we suppressed our feelings, we push them down into our subconscious, and we're actually collecting them. So that's what's been going on. And that's how we've been, ending up in this situation now in our life. And as we go through life, we get heavier and heavier and heavier with these feelings. So that's the first way that we handle our feelings. We suppress them. Now, the second way that we handle our feelings is we try to escape them. So we blame outside circumstances. Like if we have a hard time in our job, then we say, well, it's the people there, it's a situation there that's causing this, so I'm going to get another job. Or we have a bad relationship and we blame the other person, or we blame the situation and we get out of the relationship so we can get into a new one. We think that that's going to solve it for us. Or we try to escape our feelings by knocking ourselves out, drinking, drugs, or we try to escape it by going on vacation or, whatever. Any way to distract ourselves or try to run away from our feelings. But as I think every single one of us has proven now, we can't run away from our feelings. That if we get into another relationship, those same problems come up. If we get into another job, another business, we have the same challenges. We carry our garbage with us wherever we go. Or if we knock ourselves out, or we go on vacation, it's like, shutting it off for a while, but eventually we have to face our negativity because it's inside of us. We take it wherever we go. So we can't suppress it. Now, the third way that we handle our feelings is we express it. We get angry, we yell, we cry, and, it feels like a relief. But here's the catch. So what happens when we express ourselves? It's like we push down our feelings, we hold them down more and more until we just can't hold them down anymore. It's like a pressure cooker. Eventually that pressure builds up and we explode. And it feels like a relief, like we're relieving the pressure. But what happens when we do this? So we yell or we cry or we shoot our mouth off. We say something that we regret later. And so we feel bad, maybe we feel embarrassed, or we make somebody else cry. And then what do? We go right back into suppressing our feelings again. So it's a never-ending cycle doing that by expressing ourselves. So those first three ways are how we typically handle our feelings. This is what our strategy has been our whole life. But the new techniques and tools that we start tapping into a little bit here on this channel, and we're just scratching the surface on what we do right here, they show us a fourth way to handle our feelings, that we can just bring them up and let them go. Now, going back to the first way that we handle our feelings, suppressing them. See, this is the blue pill versus the red pill. When we let go of our feelings and we start experiencing, hey, all this stuff is my own creation. This fear is only there because I pushed it down, I suppressed it. So I've been doing this to myself. I'm the one who now has to take responsibility. If I put it in there, if I put in these negative feelings, and if I programmed into my mind all of these concepts of limitations, like I'm not good enough, or I can't, I don't have the right resources, or it's too risky, it's too dangerous to step out of my comfort zone. All these little limiting thoughts that keeps us playing small. I did that to myself. So this is a wonderful revelation, because if I did it, I don't have to go around blaming anybody else. It's up to me now to take responsibility and let it go. So this is the realization that for myself has always kept me moving forward. Now, if the feelings are the major obstacle, and all of this joy and abundance and unlimitedness and freedom that we're all seeking, in our life. Every single one of us is looking for this. Every single one of us on this planet is looking for happiness. And if all of that is already right inside of us, just covered up by the feelings, then the process of bringing it all out is just very straightforward. That's it. Just keep letting the feelings go, and this unlimitedness just shows up. And it shows up naturally because it is our inherent nature. We don't have to program ourselves to be positive. We are positive underneath all of this stuff. And all we have to do is let these feelings go. So literally our process and what we're doing here in this work is, it's like pulling tissues out of a tissue box. These feelings are like a tissue. So you pull out the tissue and the next one pops up. Pull that one out, the next one pops up. Pull that one out, the next one pops up. Now, if we keep pulling these feelings out, eventually this box will be empty and we'll be free. That's the freedom that is inherent to us. Now, what happens is that, if we want to go back, and if we start resisting these feelings as we start pulling them up, what we end up doing is we're taking these feelings and we're shoving them back into the box. I don't like this. I don't like that fear. I don't like that negativity. But we shove it back down there. We shove it back into our consciousness. And then we're back into trouble again. So that's it. Our path is that simple. Just keep pulling those tissues out of the tissue box. Now, this brings me to why going to a 9-day retreat is so remarkable and so valuable. It took me about a year of doing this work before I went to a 9-day intensive. Our whole life, we've been in a habit of believing these limitations in our mind. The I can'ts, the I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, or I have to struggle, all these things. And these habits, they don't die quickly. And that's why sometimes when we're letting go a little bit, we may feel a little bit lighter, but it's just like there's no end to that tunnel. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. What I discovered, when you show up at a 9-day retreat, there's no distraction. Everything is taken care for you. You just show up to the sessions, you just do the work. And you start pulling up all these tissues and letting them go. You get some amazing momentum with this focus and intensity. And it only takes like 2 or 3 days before you start to really see who you really are. You start to see your unlimitedness. Your eyes open up. You see the truth. And this is just in the first 2 or 3 days. And then for the next 6 days, you solidify this. You deepen your experience and your knowingness of who you are. So by the end of this experience, when you leave and you go back into the world and how the normal world operates by running on feelings, running on these programs of limitation, which you see the whole world is into, that your perspective has shifted and you don't buy into that garbage anymore. That's the difference. Now, in a moment, I'm going to just take you through a quick experience so you can start to get a taste of this unlimitedness inside of you. But first, I want to share some other people's experiences and what they have to say.
Yeah, I was a bit anxious about the 9 days because I thought it's such a long time and, what are we going to do for 9 days, and a bit expensive, and really, is it really worth it? I could do everything remotely and just read a book about it, and I think it's really necessary to be in a concentrated manner with people who do the same thing. So it's like offering it a safe space to really work seriously and to really get momentum and get things going and understand how it works.
I had amazing experience because we work a lot and we have time and we don't. Being here in Transylvania, it was amazing because you are not in the city, you're not thinking about family and about the job, you're not thinking about anything, so you just work. I can see that I just am, and it's really like this. I mean, I felt it in my body, and I can see that everything is possible. It's really just really possible, and everything is your decision. So in these 9 days, I could come to that quiet place that I make the strong decisions.
I have really been letting go of some deep traumas that I had for a long time. I've been working on in many different ways and going to ashrams and doing things. Many things have helped, but releasing helps a lot more in letting go of old stuff. The amazing thing is we think that reality is something permanent and fixed out there. And when you work with releasing, you really see that it's just your picture. And you might think that you have to be poor, you think that you cannot have abundance. When you work with releasing and let this go, you really see the outward world is changing. I've been releasing for quite a while, but I've never been to a retreat like this before, a longer retreat. And doing it intensively like this is a really great way to gain momentum.
All right, so here you can see many examples of how each of us can really see the truth. And what this shows us is we can go from a perspective of like seeing no light at the end of the tunnel to having a moment of clarity and realizing there is no tunnel. And that's the key. That it's all a shift in perspective. It's just how you look at things. And doing this work for 9 days straight that can solidify this new perspective of freedom. That's it. It's that simple. And that's why it's so beneficial to jump in and do this. All right. Now let's get a taste of this right now. I'm going to guide you into really discovering the unlimitedness inside of you. All right? So just close your eyes for a moment. Get nice and relaxed. And just focus on now. Start by focusing on your breath right now. Just watch your breath. Notice the feeling, the sensation as you breathe in and as you breathe out. And in and out. And in and out. And bring your awareness to your shoulders. And notice if you're carrying any tension in your shoulders. A lot of us are holding our shoulders up and we don't even realize it. Just notice. Are your shoulders relaxed? Or do you have some tension in them? And just be aware of it. And consciously relax your shoulders. And relax them a little bit more. And a little bit more. And now bring your awareness to your face. And notice if you're carrying any tension in your face, like in your brow, your forehead, your cheeks, your jaw. And just become conscious of it now. And consciously allow your face to relax. And continue noticing your breath. Just watch your breath. Breathing in and breathing out. And in and out. Now think about something that frustrates you in your life right now. Maybe it's a person that's in your life that's annoying you or frustrating you, or a situation. Now, as you think about it, from your neck up, your mind, all that is a recording and playback machine. That's all your mind does. It records things and it plays it back to you, whether you want to listen to it or not. It's just a recording and playback machine. That's it. What your mind doesn't do from the neck up is erase things. Now, where you can erase things is from your stomach or chest area, from your feeling center. So think about this person or thing that bothers you, that frustrates you. And just bring your attention to your stomach or chest. And if it helps you, you can just put your head down towards your stomach or chest. And notice if there's a contraction or tightness that shows up in your stomach or chest. Just notice that. And that tightness, that contraction is showing you that you're suppressing. And that suppressing is not natural. That's why it feels kind of uncomfortable, kind of tight and cringy. Now, wherever you feel that, in your stomach or chest, that contraction, right in front of that, open up an imaginary window or door. Just right in front of that energy. And imagine that energy moving right on out that door. Whatever that looks like to you. You may view it as smoke or as light just going on out the door. There's no wrong way to do this. Just whatever that looks like to you. Imagine that energy moving right on out that door. And allow that energy to move out that door even more. And even more. And even more. And even more. And even more. Now notice how you feel. Just notice if you feel a little bit lighter. Now that lighter feeling is the real you, the unlimited you. That part of you that is full of abundance, of love, that is unlimited. That's the part of you that you've been searching for. And everything that you've been searching for in the world. Now, we don't need to make it out to be anything complicated. Just notice if you feel that lighter feeling. That's all you need to pay attention to. All right? Now, welcome up a little bit more of that frustration. Think about something, maybe it's the same thing, that frustrates you, that bothers you. And just notice. Bring your attention to your stomach or chest. Notice if you feel a contraction, a tightness, clenching feeling. And open up an imaginary window or door right in front of that. And imagine that energy now just moving right on out the door. And even more. And just let it leave. It's just energy. It's not good. It's not bad. Just energy passing through. Now let it leave even more. And even more. And even more. And notice how you feel now. You feeling lighter? And again, that's all we're looking for. And this is just a small taste of the unlimitedness inside of you. Now, think about that person or situation that was bothering you and see if you're as bothered as you were a few moments ago. Or notice if you're less bothered now. Now this is showing you how you can let go of this negativity. This is the fourth way that we handle our feelings. Just let them go. And what's right behind that is just a sense of, hey, everything's okay. No problem. See, this is where positivity and productivity comes in. All right? Now think about something in your life that you want to change. Maybe it's your financial picture. Maybe it's your love life. Maybe it's your health. Or something that's going on in the world that you want to change. Now, see if you've been trying to figure out how to change it. Now, when you are trying to figure out what to do about it, you're asking your mind for an answer. Now, if your mind is a recording and playback machine, that's it. It's just like a hard drive storing information. And all the information that it has is only what it's recorded. Now, it's good for information like if someone asked you what your telephone number is or your email address, you pull that information from your mind, from your hard drive, and you access that information and you give it. But if you're asking your mind for information that it doesn't have, notice that's a waste of time. It's like looking in an empty file cabinet for an answer that's not there. But the habit is to keep looking in that empty file cabinet over and over and over again. Notice how silly that is. And notice, how long have you been trying to figure out an answer? A long time, probably. Long enough. And here's how the mind talks to you. It says, hey, anytime you don't know what to do, just ask me. I'll help you find the answer. And it'll send you everywhere. I'll send you, go read this book. Go Google it. Go ask this expert. It'll send you all over the place. But here's the thing. When you look all over the place and you still don't find an answer, what does your friend the mind tell you? It says, all right, well, you haven't been able to figure it out. Here's my advice. Beat yourself up. Isn't that right? Now take a look to see if you've been disapproving of yourself because you haven't been able to resolve the situation. Now, how does it help you to beat yourself up? It doesn't, does it? And who's doing it? You're doing it, aren't you? And if you're doing it, and it's not getting you the results that you're looking for, now you can make a decision. I'm going to be positive and love myself, or I'm going to be negative and beat myself up. What do you decide? Well, I'm assuming your choice is to be positive. So, could you let go of disapproving of yourself since you're doing it? And it's just a decision, yes or no. Could you let go of disapproving of yourself? And could you let go of disapproving of yourself a little bit more? And could you let go of disapproving of yourself even more? And could you let go of disapproving of yourself even more? And could you let go of disapproving of yourself even more? And even more. And could you let go of disapproving of yourself even more? Now notice how you feel. Just notice if you feel lighter. Again, that's all we're looking for. Just a lighter feeling. It's showing us that we're moving in the right direction. All right? Now, since positive doesn't hurt anything, could you give yourself some approval? For no reason, just because. In other words, could you just like yourself? And again, it's just a decision, yes or no. And could you give yourself some more approval? And could you give yourself some more approval? And could you give yourself some more approval? And some more. And even more. And could you give yourself even more approval? And even more. And even more. Now notice how you feel. Now, take a look at that situation. And see if it's more possible now to find a solution. Just see if it's more possible. Notice the difference? It's like your picture's changing. And this shows us now the falsehood of thinking. And that the mind is full of limitations and lies. Yet most of us, we think that that mind, that voice in our head is us. And we treat it like it's our best friend. Now your mind, where did it come from? This voice that plays in your head, where did it come from? And rarely does it say anything positive or nice, right? It's always dissatisfied. It's always criticizing. It's always telling you, hey, beat yourself up. And we treat that thing like it's our best friend. It's not. And it's not you. You have this voice, this sound in your head that's talking to you. But who's listening to it? Who are you who's aware that there's that voice there? Just notice that. When your mind talks to you, you have the sound, but who's listening? Now that part of you has no form, has no name, has no beginning, no end. And maybe the more we let go of the mind, the more we can realize this unlimited part of ourselves. So now get a picture of your mind, whatever that looks like to you. And just imagine this picture evaporating and dissolving. Just imagine that picture of your mind just dissolving away. And allow it to evaporate and dissolve even more. And even more. And even more. Now get a picture of your body, whatever that looks like to you. And could you allow that picture to evaporate and dissolve? And allow it to evaporate and dissolve even more. And even more. And even more. And now get a picture of your ego, whatever that means to you. That personal story, that self-identity, whatever that looks like. Just get that picture. Now, could you allow that picture to evaporate and dissolve? And more. And even more. And even more. And even more. Now ask yourself, if I'm not my body, if I'm not my mind, if I'm not my ego, what am I? Now there's no right or wrong answer. Just take what you get. If I'm not my mind, if I'm not my body, if I'm not my ego, what am I? Who am I? And whatever comes up, just let that answer take you wherever it's going. Surrender to it. Are you? Notice your answer. Are you? Are you? Now take a deep breath in and say to yourself, I, and let it go slowly and say am. And take another deep breath in. Say I. And let it out and say am. And let's do this a few more times. I am. I am. I am. And notice how much quieter you're getting. Notice the quiet that's all around you. Even when there's noise. Every sound occurs in the field of quiet. Every bit of noise arises out of quiet and inevitably returns back to quiet. And that quiet is always here. It's right here, right now. Just pay attention to quiet. Now this quiet, it's not a dead space. It's very alive. And it's very spontaneous. And we can even talk to quiet and get very spontaneous answers. So ask quiet if there's any such thing as the past. Just take what you get. And ask quiet if there's any such thing as the future. Just take what you get. Ask quiet if there's any such thing as birth or death. Just take what you get according to quiet. Ask quiet if there's any such thing as good or bad. And see if you can be destroyed in the space of quiet. See if that's even possible. Are you? Notice your answer. Are you? Are you? Now notice what you're experiencing now. What you're doing is you're starting to become conscious of consciousness, aware of awareness. And notice how nice this is. Notice how nice it is and quiet. And you can be in this place all the time. And the only thing that has been obscuring your vision, your connection with this, is just all those silly programs called feelings, which you programmed in. And it's up to you to take responsibility. Remove these programs. Because when you remove these tissues out of this box and you keep removing them until they're all gone, you're just left with this quiet in a much more deeper sense. And this is why it's so valuable to you to commit to doing this work. And this is why we regularly have opportunities to set aside 9 days and focus in, dig out the limitations, and reveal this greatness that is inside of you, and live by this. And the more you do this, This changes your whole perspective. Instead of being led around by lies, just coming from your own mind, that part of you that is aware that that mind is talking to you, you show up. And now you make the decisions about how your life goes, what you experience. And this part of you is inherently loving, happy, abundant. So go for it. Do yourself a favor. Invest in yourself so you can really appreciate who you are.
You just have to try it. Just go inside, just try the method, let the mind aside. I found the inner power that was growing inside of me. I found an inner peace, calm that was growing inside of me. I found something that was there, but I didn't felt it before. And I felt that when I was connected with that, nothing else mattered. Like I really got in connection with something that was deep inside of me. I felt permeated by love, like everything inside of me was permeated by love.